Okay, so I watched the first episode of Sabikui Bisco, or English translation, Rust Eater Bisco, and it seems like a decently promising start to a brand new post apocalyptic anime. It has giant lizards, giant crabs, giant mushrooms, giant this thing, and most importantly, it got sand.
Beautiful sand.
So, I never actually saw any of the trailers or read any summaries about this show prior to watching the first episode. Kind of just went in blind. I pretty much decided to watch it based purely on the character designs of the two main protagonists. Their contrasting red and blue hair just reminded me of Skate the Infinity from 2021, and that show was a lot of dumb fun, so I thought, hey, I'd probably have some fun here too. I miss you, Longa. I miss you a lot, boy. In particular, I love the look of Milo here. Seriously, it's such a small thing, but that circle around his eye is such a charming design choice. It's little things like that that add extra character appeal and just make them go beyond like bog standard sort of, oh look, another blue-haired protagonist. And I'm really glad the creator added that to him. So after watching episode 1, I can definitively say that its greatest strength is its concept and the setting it explores. The anime wastes no time dropping us like straight into the world. There's no narrator expositing, no character monologuing about what happened that day or why. Just a cold opening on the inciting incident. Just we immediately see firsthand the degradation, or as they call it, the rusting of the modern infrastructure, as well as how humans are still faring in spite of this. Though modern Japan has drastically changed from this event, many technological amenities still persist, and this contrast excels at creating interest for the viewer. An interest in seeing where the old world ends and where the new world begins. A world where people on the streets casually ride on giant iguanas, and then across the way, there's a personal TV that's broadcasting live news footage. Look, if you live in a post-apocalyptic world and you still have electricity and television, that's gotta count as some kind of a win, right? Anyway, point is, it's a lot of fun figuring out what's what in an unknown new setting. It's like landing on that brand new island in One Piece for the first time. Now as far as Sakuga goes, we might not get too much of it here. The anime doesn't seem to have an extraordinary amount of budget. Like, the characters honestly don't move around too much. Like, they move, but just very strategically. The artists had limitations, and I think they worked very well within them and instead focused on putting a lot of care into the character art and how they look in each shot. Also, despite being a desert setting, they really made sure to break out some nice colors here and there. Pretty much every scene of the city's nightlife utilizes this nice warm purple, and it works great against all the wild anime hair colors and just adds a nice ambiance to the nightlife. In terms of color design, got everything right. Looks good. Now, naturally, I think there were a few aspects that were lacking as well. A bit of the dialogue was clunky, for instance. Your typical sort of lines that are spoken because the audience needs to receive it, not because the characters actually have a reason to talk about it. Prime example is a moment pretty early in the episode where this boss lady of we'll just call it a hostess club, rambles on about her childhood while her girls basically ignore and talk over her. And it does give us little tidbits of info about this world, but it's not a very compelling delivery. It's sort of a, if none of the characters in this room care about this, why should I sort of deal. The other thing I recall finding a bit jarring was the episode repeatedly jumping back to a single scene where our other protagonist, the alleged man-eater himself, Bisco, is attempting to cross a checkpoint in the desert. They cut to this scene a total of 3 times and never actually resolved it within this episode, and that's a bit weird. I'm assuming this scene takes place before the two protagonists meet, but the whole experience might have had smoother pacing if we just followed Milo all the way to his first meeting with Bisco, and then at the start of episode 2, show us how we got to this point from Bisco's perspective. I can see how the way they went about it was likely an attempt to build intrigue for both main characters in tandem, but for me at least it didn't really work that well. Overall, I think episode 1 of Sabikui Bisco was relatively good, but it just barely fell short of being great. Like, they had all the pieces there, it just needed like a little more refinement and it would have made it to like top tier first episode. Either way, I'm looking forward to see how it develops from here. I'm very interested in the plot. I want to see the secrets of the sand and the rust, so I'm gonna keep watching.